Perry Como is universally recalled as the most affable personality on television. In 1957, an unforeseen event occurred within 14 seconds that validated it. However, the actual narrative is more sinister. He referred to his successful tunes as inferior. He declined to accept accolades for the sale of millions of recordings. His vehicular aggression astonished onlookers. His children contested his estate in court during his terminal illness. What about the renowned pool incident? It transcended mere gentlemanly conduct. It pertained to control. Something Como seldom experienced in his own existence. Perry Como was born on May 18, 1912, in the little hamlet of Canonsburg, nearly 20 miles southwest of Pittsburgh. His parents relocated from Italy about 2 years prior, in 1910. Perry was the seventh of 13 siblings, and his father worked extended shifts at a tin plate factory. He made approximately $175 monthly, which was not sufficient to sustain a large family. Italian was the sole language spoken at home. When Perry commenced school at the age of 6, he had to acquire English from the beginning. Despite their poverty, music and faith remained central to their existence. Upon turning 10 in 1922, Perry secured his inaugural employment at Steve Fragpane's barber business. He earned merely 50 cents weekly. He opened the business before to school and cleaned the floors subsequent to school. He needed to rise early to ignite the wood stove, then dash to school, and then return to polish mirrors and tidy up. He was so diminutive that he stood on a wooden box only to trim hair. By the age of 13, in 1925, he possessed his own chair in the establishment and was already proficiently cutting hair. His financial resources were urgently required at home. His passion for music commenced at an even earlier age. At approximately 3 years of age, he began attempting to play tunes on a second-hand organ purchased by his father for merely $3, despite the family's reliance on credit for groceries. They managed to accommodate that organ. Perry would dedicate hours to playing it by ear. His father, an occasional singer during his leisure, desired for all his children to acquire musical knowledge. Perry exhibited the utmost seriousness over the matter. He acquired proficiency in guitar, trombone, and additional instruments, all without formal vocal instruction. However, it was not consistently seamless. During his adolescence, Perry forfeited a week's salary in a game of dice. The funds were significant. Experienced profound distress. He confined himself to his room, too mortified to confront his parents. Upon eventually disclosing the truth to his father, he prepared for an outburst of rage. However, his father imparted a message that Perry never forgot. Making a mistake is permissible. Simply avoid performing worse than this. That experience imparted a lesson in forgiveness to Perry, profoundly influencing his life. Perry concurrently worked as a barber and served as the trombone player for the Canonsburg Italian band. He performed at weddings, parades, and religious ceremonies. The ensemble was directed by Stan Vinton, whose offspring Bobby Vinton would likewise attain fame as a vocalist. Perry would sing, particularly love songs, while cutting hair, earning him the moniker, the singing barber. Grooms would solicit his singing throughout their wedding preparations. His gratuities would increase by $20 or $30 at those performances. At the age of 14 in 1926, Perry owned a barbershop and earned $125 weekly, equivalent to almost $2,000 weekly in contemporary currency. A proprietor of a local Greek cafe extended an invitation for him to utilize space within his establishment. Perry's barbershop was perpetually crowded due to his vocal performances. He ultimately employed 2 additional barbers to manage the influx of customers. Subsequently, a significant event transpired. His father, Pietro, got a severe cardiac problem and was unable to continue working. Perry and his siblings assumed the role of primary earners. He utilized his earnings from barbering to cover rent, sustenance, and even music instruction for his siblings. Despite his considerable responsibilities, Perry continued to sing. Motivated by Bing Crosby, he sung during his labor. His voice was adored by many. Local organizations such as the Sons of Italy began extending invitations for him to appear. He received $5,000 or $10 per performance, which constituted substantial earnings for a teenager at that time. He encountered Roselle Belain in 1929 when he was 17 years old and she was 16. He performed More Than You Know while maintaining eye contact with her throughout. Perry and his partner fell in love. Nonetheless, he did not hasten to marry. He waited 4 years to ensure his firm could sustain a family. They were ultimately wed on July 31, 1933. He was 21 years old, she was 20, and they remained married for 65 years. Immediately following the wedding, confronted with a significant decision. While on vacation in Cleveland, a bandleader called Freddie Carlone heard him sing and extended a job offer. The remuneration was merely $28 per week, a significant decrease from the $125 he previously earned. Perry declined. He considered relinquishing his business for a precarious venture to be imprudent. Despite Carlone's subsequent call, he maintained his refusal. However, his friends and Roselle persistently encouraged him to reassess his decision. Carlone ultimately cautioned that he would assign the position to another individual. Roselle expressed that she would be perpetually disappointed if he declined the opportunity. This compelled Perry to shut down his barbershop in August 1933. He became a member of the band. He subsequently stated that he was less than 24 hours from irrevocably declining it. However, the initial phase proved challenging. Perry and Roselle struggled to subsist on $28 weekly. Initially, she was unable to accompany him on his travels. Nevertheless, his father advised him that he would never ascertain the outcome without attempting. That provided Perry with fortitude. In 1936, he faced another significant setback. During a recording session, a Decca Records executive entered and instructed to eliminate the child. He believed Perry resembled Bing Crosby excessively, who was already affiliated with Decca. Perry described the sensation as akin to a stab in the chest. Ted Weems, the bandleader, declined. He stated that if Perry did not sing, there would be no recording whatsoever. Perry's career was salvaged by that loyalty, although the Crosby copy label persisted for years. Perry subsequently acknowledged it. He was imitating him. In 1936 and 1937, WGN Radio nearly terminated the band's broadcasts. Critics argued that Perry's vocals lacked clarity, rendering the lyrics unintelligible to audiences. Ted Weems played recorded audio, and Perry acknowledged its veracity. That moment devastated him. However, Weems advised him to cease employing gimmicks and to sing sincerely from the heart. That counsel transformed everything. Perry commenced cultivating the fluid, authentic voice that would characterize his style. The demands of touring were relentless. In 1940, Perry executed a decision that nearly jeopardized his whole fortune. His wife was in labor, and during a live performance, he departed abruptly to be by her side. The band was incensed. It almost resulted in his termination. However, Perry harbored no regrets. Family was prioritized. Consistently. By 1942, the continuous travel exhausted him. World War II commenced, prompting Weems to enlist in the army, resulting in the dissolution of the orchestra. Perry, feeling fatigued, opted to return to Canonsburg. He commenced negotiations for a new lease for a barbershop. He expressed his readiness to abandon music to Roselle, but she refused to accept it. She urged him to persist. Subsequently, he remarked that without her, he would possess the finest barbershop in the area. An unforeseen event occurred. The General Artists Corporation contacted us with a new proposal. They requested that he host his own radio show for $100 per week and additionally sign a recording contract with RCA Victor. On March 12, 1943, he conducted his inaugural solo broadcast on CBS. RCA required a somebody to rival Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby. They anticipated that Perry could serve as that voice. Nearly 3 days post-signing, he documented his inaugural solo track, titled Goodbye Sue. However, it was unsuccessful. The performance lacked musical accompaniment due to the musicians' strike from 1942 to 1944. It consisted solely of vocals, and individuals failed to resonate with it. He experienced discouragement. It deteriorated to such an extent that he nearly returned to hairstyling permanently. However, in 1945, everything transformed. On July 3, 1945, he recorded a song titled "Till the End of Time," inspired by a composition by Chopin. The album was released on July 30 and entered the Billboard charts by August 9. It not only performed admirably but also remained on the charts for 17 weeks, securing the #1 position for 10 of those weeks. It marked his inaugural #1 hit and his first track to surpass 1 million copies sold. It sold more than 2 million units. Simultaneously, another of his songs, "If I Loved You," was also achieving sales over 1 million. He became the inaugural pop artist to achieve simultaneous sales of over 2 million copies for 2 tracks. A multitude of individuals asserted that the triumph of "Till the End of Time" was influenced by the prevailing sentiment in America following President Roosevelt's death in April. Individuals sought solace, and Perry's speech provided it. He received offers from Hollywood, and MGM contracted him for a 7-year film agreement. He performed in films such as Something for the Boys in 1944 and Dollface in 1945. However, he had a disdain for Hollywood. During a birthday celebration for the influential studio executive, Louis B. Mayer, Perry was instructed to perform "Happy Birthday" in front of the attendees. He felt akin to a conditioned primate. Following the song, he gazed directly at the mayor and referred to him as SOB in the presence of all the visitors. His contract was terminated immediately thereafter. Perry then stated that he orchestrated the entire event. He despised the Hollywood system and sought to extricate himself. He stated that departing from films like Liberation, he did not glance back. He was not consistently content, even in music. Perry gained notoriety for his aversion to the songs he was instructed to record. He once said that some of them were subpar. During recording sessions, observers noted that he appeared despondent, as though he had just sampled something unpleasant. He would record in 1 or 2 attempts and then depart. He desired to perform Broadway songs and classical pieces, rather than trivial jingles. In 1961, he issued an album titled "By Request," with songs he genuinely cherished. However, it did not achieve strong sales. Concurrently, RCA Victor continued to sell millions of his other recordings. Beginning in 1943, they averaged 4 million Como records annually. In 1946, they generated 4 million in just 1 week. In a 1998 interview, he stated that the tunes financed his home and funded his children's education, hence he has little cause for complaint. Had it been my choice, I would have dedicated my entire career to performing the Great American Songbook, rather than singing about hot diggity dogs. He discovered a new residence in radio. On December 11, 1944, he launched a 15-minute program titled The Chesterfield Supper Club, airing every Wednesday at 7 p.m. The concept originated from an individual named Doug Storer, who, after listening to Perry on the radio, collaborated with him to create a demo. Initially, the advertising agency was reluctant to accept Perry. They sought an other individual. However, Doug advocated for him and secured the position just 1 week prior to the show's broadcast. On December 24, 1948, NBC opted to experiment with a novel initiative. They introduced cameras into the radio studio and broadcasted the show on television. Initially intended as a brief trial for 3 Fridays, its popularity prompted an extension. On September 8, 1949, the show was established as a regular television program. Perry had become a television celebrity, despite first expressing discomfort in front of the camera. To soothe himself, he envisioned conversing with family in his living room. In 1950, he transitioned to CBS and rebranded the program as The Perry Como Show. Initially, it was shown 3 times weekly for 15 minutes, but it subsequently expanded to a full hour. During the 1956 to 1957 season, his program was the sole NBC show in the Nielsen Top 10. He secured 5 consecutive Emmy Awards from 1955 to 1959 and also a Christopher Award in 1956. The program was among the initial broadcasts in color. Perry and Jackie Gleason engaged in a cordial ratings competition. Each week, the victor would contact the other to jest about it. On March 14, 1958, he achieved a historic milestone when his song Catch a Falling Star became the inaugural recipient of a gold record from the RIA, signifying sales exceeding 1 million copies. Perry did not even appreciate the song. During the live awards ceremony, the announcer incorrectly stated the name as Chase a Falling Star. Perry subsequently delivered a humorous rendition of the song to express his disdain for it. Despite winning a Grammy for it later that year, he remained resolute in his opinion. He desired to resume his career as a barber, not a musical celebrity. He once stated that achieving stardom was not his aspiration. It was merely an occurrence. In 1955, NBC presented him with a significant opportunity. The contract had a duration of 12 years. In 1959, Kraft Foods presented a substantially larger proposal. They allocated $25 million for the production of 66 hours of color television programming over a 2-year period. Additionally, he secured a contract as their spokesperson for an additional 10 years. He attained the status as the highest-paid individual on television. He established his own production firm, Roncom, named in honor of his son Ronnie. From the $25 million, he was responsible for covering all production expenses, but he retained any remaining funds. Despite his substantial wealth, Perry frequently expressed a sense of entrapment. He once informed Time magazine, candidly, that he was entirely uninformed of the agreement. "I had encountered the president of Kraft, and he appeared to be a quite amiable individual. His performances extended beyond America. They were transmitted in over 12 countries." In 1956, he won a Peabody Award in conjunction with Jackie Gleason. The judges remarked that Perry possessed charisma and never exhibited insincerity. He consistently exhibited politeness and a familial demeanor. He would decline screenplays he deemed unsuitable for youngsters. His Christmas specials were universally adored. In 1987, he received a Kennedy Center honor. He was inducted into the Television Hall of Fame in 1990. In 1958, the song Magic Moments, featured on the B-side of Catch a Falling Star, unexpectedly achieved significant success in the UK. It remained in the top position for 8 weeks. It attained the 4th position in the US, which was still significant. The peculiarity arose from the fact that one song achieved success in the US while the other attained popularity in the UK. He was disinclined to have the majority of his successes recognized as gold, despite having over 10 recordings that each had sales over 1 million. RCA previously sold 4 million of his recordings in a single week, however Perry was reticent regarding the figures. He was indifferent to the notoriety. On March 16, 1957, during a live broadcast of his program, Olympic swimmer Esther Williams was doing a performance in a specially constructed pool. She experienced a wardrobe malfunction while swimming. Perry approached the camera at the conclusion of the show, stated, "Good night, folks," and leapt into the pool fully attired. It emerged as one of the most iconic moments in television history. It was a subject of discussion for years. Perry concluded his weekly program in 1963. It was a significant transition. He had earned $25 million from Kraft merely a few years prior, however now he wanted time with his family. Subsequently, he conducted monthly specials, occasionally omitting certain months. He desired to witness his children mature. In 1980, he filmed his Christmas special in Jerusalem and performed Ave Maria outside an actual church. He declined to perform that song in any location that did not evoke a sense of sanctity. He held the conviction that certain songs were too sacred to be performed just for commercial gain. In 1970, he published It's Impossible. It achieved global acclaim. It marked his first top 10 hit in years, demonstrating his continued competitiveness in contemporary music. He produced an album featuring covers of songs by the Beatles and Simon and Garfunkel. In that same year, he returned to Las Vegas. He had not executed a live performance since 1944. At the International Hotel, he earned $125,000 weekly. His father never earned that much throughout a lifetime. He produced a live recording and introduced his distinctive style of wholesome entertainment to the Las Vegas stage. During the 1980s, he declined substantial offers to remain at home. He stated that celebrity had distanced him from his children during their crucial developmental years, and he would not repeat that error. He is now in a position to decline. His previous $25 million contract had established him as one of the wealthiest artists in existence. He opted to be an engaged father and husband rather than pursuing additional accolades. In 1987, President Ronald Reagan bestowed upon him the Kennedy Center honor. It constituted the pinnacle of acknowledgement for an artist. Perry donned his cardigan, exhibited a modest smile, and received it with poise. His television technique irrevocably transformed the hosting of shows. He refrained from yelling. He refrained from ostentation. That was precisely the reason people adored him. Perry Como married Roselle Bullen on July 31, 1933, at the age of 21. She was merely 19 years old. Their initial encounter occurred at a picnic by Chartier's Creek in 1929, during which Perry performed More Than You Know, maintaining direct eye contact with her throughout the song. It transcended a mere adolescent infatuation. Their love endured for 65 years, concluding on August 12, 1998, when Roselle died at the age of 84. Their first offspring, Ronnie, was born in 1940. Subsequently, they were unable to have further children, leading them to adopt their daughter Terry and son David. Despite their marriage being one of the most secure in the entertainment industry, Como frequently expressed feelings of shame. He stated that fame caused him to long for authentic experiences. He once acknowledged that a nomadic lifestyle was detrimental to child-rearing. Subsequent to bringing Roselle and infant Ronnie on early excursions, he ceased. Fame bestowed wealth upon him, although it deprived him of time. Perry was devastated by Roselle's death. Perry was consistently perceived as the most composed individual on television. However, that was not consistently the case off-screen. Mitchell Ayers, his music director from 1948 to 1963, stated that Perry might exhibit temperamental outbursts like anyone else. It was not merely sporadic. While driving, he was notorious for vociferously reprimanding motorists who obstructed his path. Such an episode of road rage astonished admirers who perceived him as perpetually affable. The reality was that Perry experienced anger like two others. He concealed it more effectively than the majority. Despite his rising prominence, Perry remained cognizant of his origins. He was the seventh of 12 offspring born to Italian immigrants in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. He discreetly provided for his family for decades. He transmitted funds without soliciting gratitude. In 1952, he and Roselle received the distinguished Catholic accolade of Knight and Lady Commanders of the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre. In 1958, they visited Pope Pius XIII in Rome to commemorate their 25th wedding anniversary. Perry disapproved of the Vatican's media portrayal of the tragedy. He desired faith to be an experience of living rather than a mere display. His altruistic nature never garnered media attention, yet it profoundly impacted lives unbeknownst to others. Notwithstanding his estimated earnings of $40 million, Perry opted for a modest lifestyle at Jupiter Inlet Beach Colony, Florida. He sold in excess of 50 million recordings, garnered 5 Emmys, and possesses 3 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. However, he was indifferent to ostentation. Residents frequently observed him food shopping like any retiree, and the majority did not even identify him. He passed away on May 12, 2001, at the age of 88, while seated in his preferred chair. His daughter, Terry, stated that but one day prior, they had shared ice cream together and Dad had been smiling. His abrupt demise rendered acceptance exceedingly difficult. Perry had been contending with Alzheimer's illness for almost 2 years, and after he relinquished golf, it seemed as though a portion of his essence had already diminished. Despite his advancing age, he did not cease working entirely. In the 1970s, speculations circulated regarding his retirement, yet Perry continued to perform sporadically. In 1992, at the age of 80, he stated that he still derived pleasure from it. He stated that he would refrain from doing it if he were fatigued. He received the Kennedy Center honor in 1987. In 1990, he he was inducted into the Television Hall of Fame. The Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award was awarded in 2002, 1 year subsequent to his demise. He was employed by RCA Victor for 44 years, from 1943 to 1987, marking one of the longest associations in music history. However, beneath the music, Perry harbored a concealed anger. He despised numerous songs that garnered significant popularity. He once stated that RCA compelled him to record tracks he deemed worthless. He referred to his $25 million agreement with Kraft in 1959 as a gilded cage. He informed friends that he would want to return to hairstyling in Canonsburg. In a particular interview, he stated that the tunes financed his residence and his child's education. However, I would have liked to perform the Great American Songbook. He aspired to pursue art. The enterprise rendered him affluent, however it failed to bring him joy. He ultimately jeopardized his own Hollywood career. In 1948, during the production of the film Words and Music, MGM hosted a celebration for studio head Louis B. Mayer. Perry was compelled to perform Happy Birthday on stage. He altered the lyrics to Happy Birthday to You. You large, unpleasant individual. The mayor was incensed and prohibited him from obtaining film parts in the future. Was indifferent. He then stated that they were squandering my time and I was squandering theirs. Despite his considerable success, Perry declined to pursue gold records. He evaded recognition for selling millions of records. RCA had to persuade him to accept the RIAA's inaugural official gold record award. 4. Catch a Falling Star in 1958. He has sold in excess of 100 million records overall. At least 15 of his tracks achieved sales exceeding 1 million copies each. However, he did not desire accolades or trophies. He merely desired to return home post-recording and be left undisturbed. Some others even alleged that he evaded the World War II draft. Military records indicated he was designated 4AF due to familial responsibilities and musical obligations. Individuals such as Frank Sinatra and Harry James also possessed 4F status. Perry was obligated to provide assistance for his extensive family. His father was employed as a mill worker. Como's revenue facilitated the survival of everybody. The criticism lingered with him for years. His demise in May 2001 astonished the public, not alone due to his passing, but also because of the events that transpired behind the scenes. A contentious legal dispute ensued among his offspring. Terry, his daughter, and Ronald, his son, were unable to reach a consensus over the execution of his 1999 living will. Ronald was appointed executor. Nevertheless, Terry doubted his capacity to manage the responsibilities due to concerns about his health. He was afflicted with Parkinson's illness. The litigation commenced in 2000, during Perry's lifetime, although he was already gravely ill. In July 2001, Terry filed to a judge requesting the removal of Ronald as executor. It was not merely a minor quarrel. It fractured the family. The settlement of his estate astonished individuals with its figures. His house in Florida was sold in 2002 for $325 million. Currently, its value exceeds $17 million. In 1959, he got a contract with NBC worth $1.2 million annually. Approximately $10 million annually as now. RCA was unable to match his record sales. He instructed them to cease counting. He had accrued more wealth than anyone comprehended, yet he never boasted about it. He continued to sing incessantly. In 2002, the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award was accompanied with an unexpected revelation. He received recognition alongside Al Green, Count Basie, and Joni Mitchell. Few anticipated the inclusion of Perry's name. It demonstrated the extent of his impact. He possessed 3 stars on the Walk of Fame, 1 for radio, 1 for television, and 1 for music. Only a limited number of painters possessed all 3 attributes. Michael Bublé once stated that Perry influenced his entire vocal technique. Bing Crosby once referred to Como as the individual who pioneered casualness. Following his demise, his music subtly had a resurgence. A new generation has found his melodious voice on TikTok. His tunes began to proliferate virally. His Christmas track, Home for the Holidays, continues to be played annually alongside Elvis's songs. His impact extended to unforeseen territories. The studio where he had taped his television show was subsequently transformed into the Wild Studio 54 nightclub, illustrating the significant evolution of the entertainment industry. In 1961, he performed with an apprehensive 13-year-old Brenda Lee. He intentionally misquoted the words to soothe her. Although he had never done such a thing, he undertook it for her, as it was intrinsic to his character. RCA subsequently honored the occasion with a full-page advertisement in Billboard stating, "50 years of music and a life well lived." He never pursued notoriety, nor sought acclaim, yet ultimately, he garnered attention from all.